Hi everyone, so today I'll be talking about the Unity Tower Defense game kit and the WWISE implementation for this and how the various techniques that I've used to implement the music into the template, the gameplay template. So first thing I'm going to talk about would be the creative approach of the main music. So I went with EDM kind of approach for the actual theme of the game. So the main menu will go like this. So for the main menu music, it's written quite linearly, and in terms of the implementation part, is what I really did is I just drag and drop it into the template, and it will loop as soon as the phrase is over. So that's how I approach the main menu part of this. Yep. So here is, and I'm pretty much just faded the beginning and the outro of the song just to make sure that the transitions and the loop is all seamless. So now let's talk about the gameplay music itself. This is where I managed to play around with the subtracks and the various randomization that I get to play with to make sure all of my layers of my music manages to play flexibly and transition seamlessly throughout the game during the gameplay phase. So as you all can see here, there is intensity 0, which is the phrase that plays during the setup part of the gameplay. I kept this music rather simple. So there's one main loop that I played, which is around 15 seconds long. But every time it loops, every time it reaches the downbeat, every time it loops on the downbeat, That's where I utilize subtracks. So as you guys can hear over here, every time I press play or it restarts, the subtract will play a different layer at once. So although the main loop is playing the same thing over and over again, the subtrack is pretty much what makes the game interactive or non-linear. So that's how I approach the gameplay music. Uh, so in this case, the setup, yeah, this is how the setup phase will go. And this would be the approach that I applied to each and every intensity. So I guess I'll talk about a bit about the intensities in this. So intensity 0 would be, yeah, the setup phase, and intensity 1 would be from wave 1 to 4. So obviously I'll use RTPCs to which I'll showcase after I explain the gameplay music. So from wave 1 to wave 4, it will play the phrases that I made and the subtracks that I made from wave 1 to 4. So this is how wave 1 and wave 1 to wave 4 will sound like. So I make sure that as long as the player is still within wave 1 to wave 4, all these layers will still loop seamlessly. And in order for me to keep transitions seamless and flexible and basically everything flexible and seamless, I managed to make all of my phrases in the tempo range of 124 BPM, and I managed to make sure that they are in tempo throughout the game by overriding the tempo in the switch, in this gameplay music switch. Let me show you guys that real quick in general settings. Yeah, so at the moment the top level game music switch would be in 120 tempo, and that isn't what my main music is made at. So I strictly locked everything, all my layers to 124. So everything plays on the beat and on time whenever it loops back around, regardless of the different individual layers that play together. And I think that that's quite a key thing to note in this, as I kind of use that technique to really make sure nothing sounds too over jarring when each subtrack plays randomly or at any time during the gameplay. So yeah, let me go through my subtrack for music intensity 1 real quick. So yep, so the subtracks would be one in these layers over here, 1 2 3 4, yeah, and same as the previous setup intensity, there is a main linear return loop playing at the background, and the same approach that I use for the subtracks is there will be different layers that will play randomly. Yeah, so I'm just going to showcase that a bit here for intensity 1. So this would be the song for wave 1 to 4. Yeah, so in this case, every time it loops around, it will play either one of the subtracks in here together along with the linear main loop that I have over here. So that would be intensity 1. Now we shall go through intensity 2, which is wave 4 to wave 7. Alright, so I use the same idea. I guess I'll just showcase that a bit. So same idea as the previous intensities. in this case there's only two subtracks, as I felt this one there was a lot of stuff since the intensities is getting higher in energy, so I didn't want that to over overlap with the various sound effects and everything going on in the gameplay. So I kept this one rather minimal and instead let the linear main loop do the main talking. Just to showcase that the rhythm, just to showcase that it is in getting much more intense. And the subtracks in this case are acting more like ear candies and just something at the background to play to show some sort of variation throughout the gameplay and not so obviously linear written. So that is intensity 2. So intensity 3 uses the same approach as well, so I guess I'll showcase that. Yeah, this one has much more subtracks. So since this one intensity 3 will play from wave 7 to the end, as that's the highest energy. So this was the part where I really introduced the percussions, especially the kick, to really showcase the final segment of the game. So I shall play that for you all real quick. So same idea, if I were play again, something different would sound. So yep, that is in the gameplay music. So I actually had a lot of fun experimenting with this one, as I'm still experimenting with it. Now upon second listening, I definitely feel that I could have split the actual linear loop into various stems, cause one thing that I realized is that subtracks will play randomly only one stem, one layer. So I guess I could experiment more with the dissecting and using the instead of using subtracks. You just make a new track altogether, and it will just play various layers together but randomly, just so to really enhance that flexibility and immersiveness. But I did not implement that, but I just thought I throw that out there in this demo breakdown of mine, as that would be what I would improve on if I get the second chance on revising the implementation in this project. But pretty much for the gameplay is where I utilize all the various vertical remixing and branching techniques, and the subtracks is pretty much the one that is carrying the variations here. Yeah, so that would be the gameplay segment of the project. So now I shall run through the RTPCs and how I actually really set up the parameters to ensure that the phrases like intensity 0 would move to intensity 1 accordingly to the wave settings that I plan to configure. Oh, but prior to that, I do want to touch a bit on the transitions that I use. So let me go to layers real quick. Top level transitions. Okay, so the transitions over here, initially I had a transition segment. I'll just play for you guys over here. Let's see. Yeah, it's yeah, so that is just a swell. So I was thinking initially to implement this inside, but when I test run it at that time, it was really obvious to the player when it transitions to the next phrase or when something changes. So that makes it too predictable. But yeah, that's just me putting it out to you all that was the initial plan. But since the way I wrote the music is naturally transitioning smoothly, so I decided to simply just set the transition settings as is for all of them. So from intensity 0 to intensity 1 uh, will just play as is. They will transition as how I produce the tune. So, but I did make sure that the exit source is at the next bar, so it just doesn't transition immediately and cut off the initial phrase to the next phrase. But yeah, that was my transitioning approach, or how I approach transitions in this. Yeah. All right. So yeah, the RTPCs. All right. So yeah, this is how I configured the wave parameters. So in this case, wave 1 to 4 will play intensity 1. So I will set it as this. The setup stage will definitely play intensity 0, so that's why it's all the way up here for this one. So it's none of the wave, since setup is not considered a wave stage. So it will play intensity 0. So this one is here because intensity 1 would be played in wave 1. So that is why this will go on all the way until wave 4. Yep. So wave 4. Yeah, so this grid refers to the wave number. So wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, and the vertical axis will refer to the intensity. And that's pretty much how I managed to set up the configuration that I intended to. So yeah, this is a brief overview on the RTPCs. There's definitely more room to improve here, but I felt that this one was the best one that I managed to get everything to play as seamless as it can be with the current musical setup that I have. And yeah, that's a very brief run through on the RTPCs. So finally, I will talk about the share settings. So just to make sure that the project file itself is well optimized and as small as it can be in terms of the storage. I use WWISE to compress all of my sounds. Yeah, as you guys can see here, it's under WWISE, and the quality I set it to 4. I was playing around with this and found out that this is the compression settings that managed to minimize the storage space of the game without the expense of the quality of my musical files. So yeah, that's just a little bit of the compression settings that I have proceeded with this project. But on top of that, that is my WWISE implementation breakdown. I hope you guys enjoyed the little breakdown that I had for this project, and thanks for watching.